welcome. And you have me, Pastor John McClain, but at least for the time being, we do not have Dr. Jennifer Herrera. She is not in the building. She is missing in action, not in a bad way. She's a busy lady. She is the superintendent of Tucson International Academy, also the better half of this co-host on this radio show. And today we have one of the Tucson International Academy educators here in the studio with us. And she's nervous, but she shouldn't be because she's going to do awesome. Yeah. And Miss Laus, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, I didn't prep you nearly as well as I should have before this, but I look forward to seeing how well you do, because I know you're going to do well.
Okay.
Just think of yourself as like one of your students in your class that's a little nervous and scared, but knows that they're going to be okay because you're there for them.
All right.
I'm that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so he's saying, the engineer's saying, get closer to the microphone.
Closer to the microphone.
Yeah, here I can
Okay.
adjust it to you if you want.
All right. Ooh, I can. Okay, that's
Yeah.
loud. I can hear
Yeah,
myself
is that
really
good?
well.
Yeah, he said it's better. He's giving
Okay.
me the okay sign.
Okay, thank you.
Either that or I want popcorn. I'm not sure. One of those signs. So anyways, this is the Making College Come True show. So let's start with your journey, Mrs. Laus, and why she chose to make college come true in her life and what that looked like.
I have to be honest. It was when I went to college. It was many, many, many years ago.
Okay,
And it was
no more than 15.
Yeah, we'll say that. And it really was not something that I ever was not going to do.
Okay.
I was the oldest one in my family, and it was just kind of something that was kind of understood that I would be the next step. So just deciding where I was going to go to college was probably the bigger decision, and what I was going to do with it, which was probably the hardest part. You're 17, 18 years old. How do you have these grand ideas, but really, how do you know what you're going to be wanting to do for the rest of your life? So I grew up in the Midwest. I wanted to spread my wings, so I left Omaha, Nebraska, and went to college at ASU. No booze or anything.
Nice. No, I'm not booing. There's only me and you in the studio, so I'm not going to boo. I grew up in Chandler,
Okay.
so I can't hate them too much.
Yeah. So, it honestly was kind of that smooth for me. I just had to decide where to go and what to do, and that's how it happened. But, and then it was the biggest journey was just being used to being away from home, because I was almost 2,000 miles away from my family. And that was probably the biggest thing that I had to do. But not going was really not something that was ever in my head.
Interesting. And the thing we talk about on this show a lot is, and the thing that makes Tucson International Academy so special, because, it's fighting against it, is that it starts in the household.
It does.
I'm guessing you grew up in a household where it's just as from a little baby, your mom was saying, "You're going to college. I don't care what you're saying."
Well, kind of, yes. My, again, it was a different generation. So my mom had stayed home with us when I grew up. My father had gone to college, but it was never like, okay, this is something you're going to do, and was pounded into me. It was just kind of out there. It was just kind of something that I just knew I was going to do. And maybe it had a lot to do with the people that I was going to school with and that I grew up with, and that was kind of their path in life. And so it was just kind of natural. It wasn't like I was the only one that was going to be going to college with my friends. So it was kind of just like the next step. And it was nothing more than that. And then, it was definitely a journey. And looking back, I don't know that I would have done anything differently.
Well, I guess the next question would be, why ASU? Especially, from Nebraska, there's probably 1,000 schools between Nebraska and ASU. Why ASU?
I hate to say it's because friends were going there. It was an adventure. I very easily could have stayed home. I grew up in Nebraska. I was a Cornhusker. I'm still a Cornhusker. And a lot of friends went there, but I had some friends it was either between Colorado and Arizona, and it was honestly just an adventure. I had been to Arizona once or twice before, and it was just something new. Looking back, it was kind of, wow, I really did that, because I was not kind of that person that was out there. I was more of the wallflower and quieter. I'm not that way now as I've grown, but it was just an adventure, and I really didn't think as much about it as I should have, or maybe it's good that I didn't. And and I stuck with it. And once I stick with something, I kind of, good or bad, follow that path.
Yeah.
And that's where I stayed, and I've been in Arizona most of the time ever since.
Nice.
Yeah.
And those who got the keen ears, you heard that joyful laugh in the background. That's Dr. Jennifer Herrera, who snuck in and is.
I'm sneaking.
Yeah, you're sneaky. She's sneaky, but she's here. She always makes sure everything's where it needs to be, and she shows up where she needs to be. So thank you for joining us here once more, Dr. J.
It's teamwork makes the dream work.
It makes the dream work. And we got Mrs. Laus here at studio.
I was so excited she was coming.
Yeah.
This is one of our top teachers,
I bet.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
she
this
started
year,
off
she's
nervous,
like assistant
but now
principal.
she's ready.
I mean, this one does it all. So.
Oh, really nice.
Yeah. Well, it's leadership. Leadership does develop as you get good at your trade.
Yeah.
And you breed that. It seems of your people.
Oh, I love to do that. It's so
someone
much
like
fun.
one of your kids will just like trip upon an idea, and then you'd be like, well, now you're a teacher at my school, and now you're the principal of my school, now you're going to be replacing me as superintendent in a couple of years. Okay, prepare yourself. Yeah. So that's super cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to be here, and I love all the talk about it, because today, I'll just follow up from last Sunday, when we shared that Ethan Cañez was going to go to college.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Cañez was here. Well, they are there right now, dropping him off at
college. And she just had a birthday too.
Yeah, she did. How about that?
Happy birthday, Arlene.
Yes, she'll be shocked that we remembered.
Oh,
and also the fact that he's experiencing that very thing that Mrs. Laus was just sharing. Going to college is a huge event, and it's exciting for him too, because a couple of his friends are going.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a difference. It makes, and I had Ethan in my class a few years ago too. So it's kind of, everything comes to fruition. And I just dropped off my daughter a few weeks ago at NAU. So it's
NAU.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're all over the place.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's, definitely, I guess, kind of just to close up the thought on choosing ASU and going across the United States, and how that's just shaped your life now. You're an Arizonan.
Yes. I still don't know how I feel about that after all these years. I am definitely
a weather change for sure.
Yes. The grass is always greener. I think maybe that might have been part of it too. New adventure, the grass is always greener. Get out of what you know and go into something you don't know and see what you're going to learn along the way.
100%.
Yeah.
And who'd think that, X amount of years later, 15, as we decided,
exactly.
15 years
maybe
later.
10.
Yeah, 10 years later, you're now helping other little individuals. Hello and welcome back to the Making College Come True radio show, brought to you by Tucson International Academy, the K through 12 school, 4 of them around Tucson that are making college come true for kids in Tucson for almost 20 years now.
Yes, this is our 20th year. We're going to have a big party, maybe around February, and when it's not hot and we can go outside.
Huge. Do you realize how huge that is?
Heck
Do you
yeah,
realize?
20 years.
Yeah.
I can't believe 20 years went by. Gosh.
Do you have a count of how many kids that you have made college come true for?
Yes, we do. But I'm really not that good at remembering exact numbers, but I know it's like in the 280, maybe 330 now after last year's class.
Man, that's wild.
330 sounds right. And we have small graduating classes, like usually like a big classes. This year it's our largest class ever, 27, I believe. That's a lot of graduates for us.
Yeah.
But it's from the 4 schools. So as high school goes on, we have less and less kids that stay in our high school, because it is, if you don't want to take physics, you're not going to want to come to our high school, because we only have one track. It's all college track. So if you don't want to take physics, you don't want to take calculus, you don't want to take some of those hard classes, that's all we offer.
Interesting.
So they're kind of
That's good to know. I'm glad I asked that question, because we've never really talked about this type of stuff. And I never
Mhm.
even mean, particularly going to public school my whole entire life. Like I
Yeah.
don't even know the difference really,
Yeah.
like the nuts and bolts of it. So yeah, like those, and we talk about it a lot. If you want to get your kid into college, if that's what you're looking for, like I'm sure that, many people have heard of like college preparatory schools and stuff of that nature. In a lot of ways, that is what this is, but it's not, it's one special layer to it. You said there's a group of people that aren't getting the care that they should, that aren't learning in their households, like we talked about earlier in the show, that you could go to college, that this not only you
Yeah.
can go to college, you will go to college.
Right.
Yeah.
There's both sides. I mean, there's I know that it's rather well known. Like if a dad owns a business, of course he's hopeful one of his sons will want to take that business over.
Mm-hmm.
But over the years, they find out later that the kid resented that they had to take over the dad's job, but the kid loved the dad, so he did what the dad did, and the dad thought that the kid liked it, but then later they find out they didn't. And that's like been a theme that's come up on movies and TV shows enough that I think parents now are like, gee, I want one of my kids to want the job though, but if they don't want the job, I will adjust and I will, let it be. So that's another thing, that they that I think is like a new thought. That's like a new way of thinking that parents are doing, which I think is good. I think the thing is, there's a lot of different ways parents feel about college. One of them is if they haven't been themselves, they might think, well, if I send my child to college, my kid is going to be better than me, and then they're not going to want to come home for Christmas, which is not even logical at all if you think about it, because as parents, we want the best for our kids, and we acknowledge that everybody's different. But a lot of parents are maybe have an insecurity there. They just don't feel like their child will feel that way about them. But I can say, working with all these kids over the years of trying to help them plan college, that they very much want to stay attached to their family. I have yet to meet the student who says, I can't wait to get out of town, I hate my family, and I'm never coming back. They never say that. They want to make their parents proud. You saw several shows ago, two girls crying on our show because they're so thankful that their parents are giving them this opportunity. So that's pretty special. And that's what I would say is the norm at TIA. Now, maybe elsewhere that's an issue, but I don't think it would be, but you never know. And I'll say this, parents, do not be deceived. They do need you all through college, right? They need us. They need us parents, and they need us to help them with $20 here and there. They need us to give them rides to and from college. They need us to help them figure out the paperwork because they don't understand it. They need help managing their money because they have not lived on their own before. And just because they're going to college doesn't mean they're so smart they're just going to understand money. They don't. And they need parents. Parents, you will always know more about money than them because you're older than them. You have more life experience than them. So you do not have to feel threatened by your child going to college. Just honor the child, and the child will honor you all your life. I guarantee it. And I would say that most of them just want to make you proud. That's all they want to do. They want to do even better for you, that you can say, wow, I did go with my child, because it is a joint. No kid gets to college without the help of their parents. No kid. Because you gave them food, you gave them life, you gave them money, you gave them shelter, you gave them an education. All of that is the parent. So parents are such a vital part of this. And I would say at TIA, that's the one area I wish I could do more with, is educating our parents about the huge role that they play. And then there's a fine line. The fine line is the one I end up talking about more. Parents don't want to let their kid go. They're afraid. They're like, oh, I'm afraid if he moves away, I'll never see him again. What if somebody hurts my child? What if, they get involved in drugs or something? Because, or I heard that those colleges are preaching liberal things, or something. They won't share family values anymore. And that is one of those things that is kind of part of life anyway, where you're not going to let them go to get a job because at the workplace they may have a different idea, or you're not going to let them ever get married because that person they married to may not have the same views as you. I mean, goodness, how far are we going to go with trying to control what they think? So what I have seen, what I can say I believe to be truth, is that if we parents, because I'm a parent too, if we have done our best at raising kids up to have values that we share, and we have shared those values with them, and we have encouraged them to follow them, and we have trusted them, as we trust them and release them to go and do things, they may make some mistakes. They may go against us a little bit. But nearly always they come back around, and I'm at the phase where I'm experiencing the come back around, and it's just a blessing. It is such a great thing. You're kind of going, wow, I've heard that somewhere. Oh yeah, I've heard that from me, and it's funny, and it's like, oh my God. And then even to hear your child say, oh my God, I sound like you. Oh, I just heard myself on a video. You used to say that, now I say it. Oh my God. So parents are a huge part of it. I mean, I cannot wait to see like some more reports that we get from students. I think parents like never see college as an adversary. It is you who have brought the opportunity, and the opportunity is going to make your child even more well-rounded, more equipped to be able to take care of themselves, to take care of you, to be that role model in society. And college does help with that. I will stand firm in that. Oh, well, it doesn't do it for everybody. There's just you are definitely compressed and forced to figure out what you think on certain issues, and it causes you to be more open to differences out there while you still hold firm on your beliefs. And that's what I think college does. It solidifies the values our parents taught us. So, I don't know, that's a bit of a soapbox. So
that was beautiful. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah,
I got excited
when you
by
have
what
those
she's
moments,
missing.
I'll let it go. Yeah, because particularly you haven't spoke too much on this show about what parents can do that are coping with their child going to college. Because I want to think all parents deal with the same thing. It's just some parents deal with it differently.
That's probably going to be one of our next books that we're going to put together, because we wanted to be a resource for parents so they can know great ways to keep in touch with your child. I thought I would do more writing to my child, but you know what? It's all text. So we set up more like a nightly texting ritual. And then it kind of got to like twice a week because we're busy, she was busy, but it still worked out because then there was a lot to talk about when we did talk, and we would just catch up on everything, and then we would try to go to games. So parents, this is what I would say. This is the Dr. J playlist for how to stay in touch with your child. First of all, take them yourself to college and help them move in and buy them a couple of nice things, and also provide them with one family photo. All right. Number 2, go to a football game or basketball game as soon as you can. With them, attend with them. They have parent nights. Go to that weekend. Parent weekend, you make sure you find the money and the time to get up there and do that. And we'll tell you more after this.
Welcome back to the Making College Come True radio show, brought to you by Tucson International Academy. And we'll jump right into the conversation that we were having during the break. And because particularly I was thinking, let's discuss your time in college. And just pick up the steam of what Dr. J was talking about being a parent with a kid in college.
Right. It was different. Right now, when I went to college, I remember having contact with my family. It was like through mail, and we didn't have cell phones. We had like prepaid cards, so you had to go to the end and make your time and make sure you had enough money on your card to keep in contact. Whereas many people nowadays, I mentioned that my daughter went to NAU, and so she's a little farther away. My son's here in town, so it makes it easier, but like sending texts, Dr. J had mentioned, sending a text. It's just enough to let them know that I'm not interrupting their day, but I'm thinking about them. And then when she has a moment, she can get back to me. Getting letters. My grandmother was amazing at sending me letters, like on a weekly basis. And I still have those. So just having something tangible that they can take with them or have with them. It's just little things from home that you think don't matter that really matter.
That's for sure.
And trusting that what you've done was good, kind of to, take off what Dr. J was saying too, is, we, as a parent, we have to trust that we did good things. We have to let the kids go. And I have a friend who said something about that, the kids were like, they get to college and they're like eagles, they need to soar, and you need to stop being the helicopter that's hovering over them. And and it's really hard as parents. I think we feel like if we're not hovering or we're not there, that we're not doing what we need to. But after I went to college, I can honestly say I probably had a better relationship with my parents. It was that distance that allowed me to mature. It allowed my parents to, whatever they were going through, I can only imagine now that I'm in their shoes. It just kind of comes full circle, and it feels icky in the moment, but it eventually works its way out. So I don't know.
sure.
It was, just those simple things that
Yeah.
to keep in contact.
You were saying something about also like getting people to write down some
Yes,
little notes,
yes.
and then they
Yeah.
tell about that.
Yeah, so I felt really bad that I didn't think of this idea. But when we moved my daughter in a couple weeks ago, her roommate's mom had like this glass jar, and on the outside of it it said something to the effect, when you're thoughts from home, or we're thinking about you, and there were just little pieces of paper that friends and family must have written on before they left, and then they gave her this jar to take to school. So if she's feeling a little bit sad, or maybe she's just feeling missing home, or she's bored or something, there was a note in there that somebody wrote by hand that says something cheerful or something silly or a joke, just something small that does not cost much at all, just to keep that connection. Yeah, I thought it was a really good idea.
Such a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know GCU does send like a stack of these like bookmark sized papers, and on it says wishes from your friends and family back home.
Right.
And it says number 1, I hope you, and it leaves a blank, and then I hope you dance by blank, and I hope you sing by, just like dancing and singing. It's like wishing, like helping them like just say, in other words, I hope that your experiences over there are just phenomenal.
Right.
And I hope that you learn a lot. I hope that you study. I hope that you begin to trust yourself more. I hope that you take risks and find life exhilarating. I saw all kinds of things that people wrote for Ethan.
Mhm.
So I know that
Nice.
Ethan has like a little healthy
Right.
stack of these papers. And I know when I went to see my daughter at college, after she had been going, we moved her in the first year and spent a lot of time. And even I went up and cleaned a couple of times because I was the helicopter mother probably. And and to make sure she had her laundry done. And she didn't appreciate it, by the way. But what I can say is that by going up there, I did like I think it was like her third year. Like she moved herself in. We came up to visit on parent weekend, and then we just basically went out to eat because we didn't really feel like going to the midnight basketball game that they had planned. So it's just funny how over the years you just get more comfortable with the idea that they're in college. And so I went into her room though on that third year, and I was like, just seeing how it looked, and it was a different dorm, and I wanted to see how they had that dorm set up. And I saw up on the wall one of those, like 3 in particular of those wishes. She had kept them 3
Yeah.
years, knew where they were, and bothered to hang them up. So I was like, wow, okay, that's really cool. So that meant something, and I didn't know that it did or
Right,
didn't.
exactly. You never know what it's going to be. It doesn't have to be big or small. And it's kind of like, we have K through 12. So, as we have new kinder parents leaving their kids, it's kind of the same thing. We have to trust the kindergartners that they're going to school and they're going to be away from mom or dad or whatever, grown up was with them. They're going to be gone for a few hours. And it's a different experience for everybody, for the kids, for the families. And it's kind of when you go to college, it's kind of just taking it one step farther, especially if you're going out of the city or out of state.
Yes.
But everybody's going to survive. And even though, there's tears, which maybe is a good thing because it lets you know that you appreciated those things that you had, and it gives you that time to breathe without, give you some space to appreciate.
Yes, I have to say that's a big thing that happened to me in college myself as well. That I remember thinking when I left, my parents, gosh, they're horrible. They're just terrible. And then I got to college and I heard other people talking about their parents. I'm like, whoa, my parent never did that.
Yeah.
Then I heard another horrific story and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know parents did that. Jeez. And then I started thinking, wow, I got perfect parents. Because, so you went through the whole swing there of the pendulum. And I just think that is
and then
also
you
a
become
process.
a parent.
Yeah.
It gets even
Yes.
thicker. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
You're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You never know how you're going to maybe react or act until it happens. And then maybe with different kids, I'm guessing it might be different because different kids have different, like they've exhibited maybe different amounts of independence, and you're a little nervous for some. And
Right.
so I can imagine that as well.
Yeah. And it makes me appreciate and respect my parents more because they never, ever made me feel guilty about leaving. I mean, to this day, we probably never even talked about, I probably should now that I'm in their shoes. I can relate more. they never said, okay, we were afraid or we were scared or we knew you had this but it was, everybody kind of goes through the same things, and it makes you appreciate it from a different perspective.
Yeah, and that appreciation goes far in life.
Mm-hmm.
It just helps you take the good and the bad, helps you process through things a little smoother because you've already had a few rugged ones, and you learn real quick how to calm things down and how to make it go right.
Mm-hmm.
I remember bouncing my first check in college. I was so ashamed. I didn't want to tell my parents.
Good. Yeah, no, that's one thing I definitely did different with my kids. It was, we were just getting debit cards. I'm like, oh, what do you mean I don't have money in my account? It says I do.
I know. My checkbook says I have money. What?
Yeah, all the lessons you will learn on Making
Absolutely.
College Come True radio show, brought to you by Tucson International Academy. Here with Dr. Jennifer Herrera, also known as Dr. J, the superintendent of Tucson International Academy, the former educator, Tucson Unified School District. So she's been a teacher, a principal, and a superintendent.
Yes.
And she's also an author of the book Making College Come True, 10 Keys to Success. And to add on to that resume, like the resume that's like stuff's almost fallen off that pile, she is the newest talk radio show host in the city of Tucson.
Well,
with
there you go.
this very radio show. So what else can we add on to there?
Oh, well, I think it's cool that, there's just so many ways to see about getting support for your child as they go to college.
Mm.
And another way that TIA does support their kids is each school kind of has certain rituals or little things they do for the high schoolers who graduate. So since we have Mrs. Laus here, why don't we hear what Tucson International Academy Midvale does for their seniors?
Right.
So one thing we started a couple years ago is we have a huge bulletin board over in the high school area where we kind of created a questionnaire for them about things as simple as, what's your favorite school lunch, or when did you start? Like some of them started in high school or middle school, and some of them have been there since elementary school. So, and not everyone knows that about them. So we had them take some time and reflect, and then we put all their answers together and we present them on this bulletin board that tells them, what their dreams are. One of the questions that I liked the best was, if you could tell your sixth grade self something, what advice would you give them? And they had to stop and think about, what would I say to myself? Some of them, are kind of pretty obvious. Oh, get your homework done, do this or do that, or spend more time with family or things like that. It was really, it was really sweet and thoughtful. And so we present that, and then we put pictures up with them about present day, and then we embarrass them a little bit and have baby pictures up. So it kind of just, prepares them slowly and throughout the year that, this is something that they've accomplished, something that they're doing, and something they have to look forward to, and they can slow down and reflect on all their experiences that they've had so far.
And that's like appreciation. Yeah. I mean, gratitude is huge.
Yeah.
We do a lot at Tucson International Academy in promoting gratitude within our kids. So for Mother's Day, Father's Day, we tried to come up with beautiful projects so that they can honor their parents. Nice. We also try to honor the cultures. So we have Mexico as our neighbor, and a lot of our kids have relatives in Mexico. If not, were born there themselves. And so Mexico is more than just another country. It's like a neighbor. It's a known entity. It's a place where there's a lot of heartstrings attached for our families. And so what I like is that we even promote gratitude for that. And we celebrate freedom by celebrating Mexico's Independence Day, which is coming up next month.
Yes.
Yeah, and our seniors run that, and just the seniors become in charge, and they become the role models of the school. I mean, they are the rock stars.
Nice.
Like every kid sees a senior, and they're like, "Oh, there's a senior," and it's so cute. And I always have to remind the seniors, "Hey, watch what you're saying. You have rock star fans, and you're the rock star." So and as they see that, they kind of like, wow. They do like us. And because you are the hope of what they want to be. They want to be you when they get older. And hear them talking about, oh, they like the same school lunch I like. Woo, I'm cool. That's cool.
Right.
I'm cool like the big kids, and any identifier, any way of drawing parallel lines and connecting the kids together and celebrating successes and doing all of that we like to do. I know also I've seen Mrs. Laus's class turn in graduation cards to the graduating class.
Right.
And that means a lot to them. I mean, little kids writing graduation cards. I mean, sometimes the different classes will make me a birthday card, and I read every one of them, and I save them, and everybody always says, throw them away. I'm like, I can't. I just can't. It's some
Just
kid
got a garage
made
just
this.
filled with cards.
Don't get my husband started. But I love to save them, and I think that the seniors also save some of those because they're just so touched. I mean, they're blown away.
Yeah.
And then when they come back, they're treated like rock stars. We encourage them when you're home on the weekend, if you come home on a Friday before the end of the day, come to school. Tell the kids about your experience and what worked, what didn't work, what do you recommend for them. Then we also have senior day, and we have a senior night. And on senior day events, it's just the seniors that we have currently. And if any students are able to come, we ask them to come and to speak to them, the ones that are in college right now. If they're home on the weekend for that senior day, we ask them to come over and to be like a panel. And they just answer questions. And the seniors ask questions. What did you do? I mean, how's classes? And, oh, my God. You know, and then they just, it's just crazy to watch them go back and forth with what they've done and what they've learned. And it's like a known entity actually went and survived. They're in college. And, oh, my God, we used to hang out at recess. And now they're in college. I guess I can go to college, too. So it just encourages the whole cycle of bravery, take a risk, trust the process. I think he says a lot about trust. And I was just thinking there's kind of a saying that in the coaching world we use a lot where we say you got to trust the process of life, that life itself has like a process, and that even though we cannot shield our child from every bad thing, but we can trust that when the bad things come, that the child will process that right in a positive way, and that they will have a way of growing from it, not just being beaten down by it. So, I mean, that's like a famous thing, you know, that's going on. And boy, it's the same with school. Trust the process of your high school preparation, that you will be able to go to college and you will make it. I know academically all of them will be able to make it, but they doubt themselves. They're like, well, I'm not sure, you know. Oh, I can't get it. Oh, I'm too tired. I can't study. Oh, now I'm 3 weeks behind. And we always tell them, you can still use this as a resource. We will still tutor you. We will still reprimand you. We will do whatever we need to do because we know how all of them work. We've already had them do a late night study session because they got behind on something. You know, we had COVID. Oh my God, how much behind we had to help them make up so they could still get into college. So it's such a good process, and having that college gives you a gift to yourself to actually be able to grow up and mature in ways you just won't have the chance to do if you don't have that experience. And since in America, every single person can go to college if they want, or at least go to some sort of trade school. Even trade school will do that for you because you're having to show up differently. You're having to show up because you want to, not because you have to. And that alone is a big step. So any kind of further education you do in life, it will benefit you.
Absolutely. It just shows that you can do something else. You can not just go through high school, but you can do a little extra. It's going to help distinguish you. And then another thing, you're talking about our performances and things like that, like we have DACCs coming up, but it's, you know, you can go at other schools, you can go watch siblings or family members do performances, but when you're in the same performance and you're in second grade as your friend or your cousin that's, you know, in high school, it makes a difference. And you get to see your older siblings or friends of your older siblings. It's a different environment when you're seeing them academically than when you're at home and you're playing video games. So it just kind of gives them a different perspective on what they're doing, how they can grow and do those things with school. And it lets the older ones remember, like, oh yeah, I remember when I was, you know, whatever that fill in the blank was. It lets them kind of keep that, those feelings and those relationships and those memories about how far they have come or how far they're going to go still. It helps them in that way, having all of the kinder through 12 students participating together in some of those events.
And community is so powerful, and having a community that they can come back to is our desire, that they always feel welcome, and not just when they're succeeding but that even when maybe they did have to drop out of college, So what? That's okay. You still had the college experience.
Mm.
Come on back. Tell us about it. Oh, do you need a job meanwhile? Have you
Yeah.
thought of teaching? No, those are my
Yeah.
usual questions.
Exactly. And, and college doesn't have to be right out of high school. I mean, I did go to college out of high school, but I'm taking classes again. So, that's one thing that I kind of use for my students to say, I can relate to you right now because I'm doing the same thing you're doing. I'm here with you all day. And then I have other things that I'm doing and I have classes that I'm still taking. So it's not something that ends when you get to be 23 years old or whatever like that. It's something you can do whenever and for how long you want to, or, whenever it fits your life. It's always going to be there.
I just saw, I like to travel. We at the schools, we do international trips around the world.
Mm.
And I just saw them advertising something called Rhodes Scholars. And they have a private jet group. And it's not as expensive as I thought it would be. It's almost a month of travel. You go to 7 different countries. You travel in first class style with a bunch of people who want to learn. And each place you go, you get the local professor to come and to share something about that culture, about that site, about that history. I thought, oh my God, this is like an educator's dream,
Mm.
So they also let you sample the culture at a different level because teachers are a hardy group of people.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely like identifying with the regular people.
Mm.
And to get to see that in another culture is another benefit. So that's just lifelong learning. Even your vacations can turn into a learning ops, and that's what we try to encourage them as well.
Mm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, it's awesome. I mean, I almost want to ask what brought you to Tucson International Academy, but we only have about a minute left. But I guess, for those out there, the parents that are considering or, on the fence about putting their kid in Tucson International Academy, what would you say to them, Mrs. Laus?
I would say that it is a great thing to do, that if you're looking for a small environment, you are looking for something different. We have great classes that work together. We collaborate a lot. We do wear many hats, which makes us be able to go and do different things and try different things. And that's one thing I've appreciated is I've been here for a few years. They took a chance on me and they go with my ideas. And I appreciate that they give me the opportunity to try new things in my classroom, like bringing in docents from the Tucson Museum of Art or just trying different things. It's a good place to be creative and when teachers are allowed to be creative, I think it allows the students to be able to do that. And having the kids, it's awesome having the kids all together when you've got multiple grades. It's a
Awesome.
blessing for a lot of families to be able to do that.
All right. Thank you
It
so
is.
much,
Yeah.
Mrs. Laus, for coming on the show with
Mrs.
us.
you.
Laus, woo!